drugs, man, you know?
Yeah.
Let's face it, why else would a 34-year-old white male in the United States of America be out here begging for change?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, unless it's like a religious quest or something.
Yeah. Well, at least you're not just blaming it on somebody else. You know?
No, I can't.
Yeah. How long have you been in Austin?
About a year and a half.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from?
Joliet, Illinois.
Oh, really? Long way, huh? Man.
Well, I was doing hard drugs, but I wasn't strung out yet.
Yeah.
So I was still enjoying life, you know. I was waiting tables and, you know.
Typical stuff.
Yeah, I was well on my way to destruction. I was living an idiotic lifestyle, but I was having fun and I had a lot of energy. I was in my early 20s, so you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You're resourceful when you're young, you bounce back quick. My lifestyle has caught up with me now. I have 2 dope cases in Texas.
Yeah.
Both are pending, so I have problems. And I'm still out here pushing my luck, man.
Right.
Man, I tell you, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with just, you know, just your brain. I'm not here like jerking you off or anything, saying, you know, hey.
It's
I'm
about
just saying,
half the brain I possessed 10 years ago, I can assure you.
A lot of the guys you talk to out here, they're not even coherent with what's going on. You know what I mean? They don't know really what's going on.
My brain is not the same. I can tell.
But
I know it. I've done a lot of brain damage. I mean, I have. You can't do the drugs I've done and not, you know,
they would do some damage.
suffer some consequences.
Have you ever tried rehabilitation?
I just got out of rehab.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was my 3rd treatment, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you think it did any good this time?
Well, I think they all did some good because they're a life experience, you know.
Right.
And you learn things, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, you learn what the latest clinical theory is on addiction.
Right.
And they are making, you know, some ground. I mean, they do know some things.
But they don't actually help cure the addiction.
No, because there is no known cure for addiction.
Right.
There is no known cure for addiction.
Except willpower, right? Except your own willpower.
Well, even that. See, the rehabilitation model, the recovery model. In the recovery model, willpower is of no avail. The best known cure for drug addiction is the 12-step program. Seriously.
Right.
I mean, that is statistically, it is the only thing that seems to work. All right? And it's, you know, it's about group recovery.
Right.
And it's also based on God. You've heard of the 12-step program, right?
Yeah.
Well, the 12 steps are a series of steps you take towards recovery. And God, or a higher power as it's put into steps, is fundamental to the program.
Yeah.
A belief in a higher power. So really, it's a spiritual program. And statistically, it's the only thing that works.
So it's giving you something to believe in when you get into it, basically, right? It's giving you some kind of belief and some kind of faith into something.
And a group support network.
Yeah.
So you have clean people who are recovering. It's not enough just to have clean friends.
Yeah.
Because addicts don't hang out with their clean friends. They can't relate. So they need someone who's going through the same thing they're going through. And it's a support group. Support groups do miraculous things for people who, you know, are having life problems and behavioral problems that they can't overcome, you know. It seems to be the only thing that works. There's no pill for cocaine addiction. There's no such thing.
Well, let me ask, is some of these streets is like, when you go to these different cities, I don't know how many cities you've been to, but are these different cities?
I've traveled around a bit.
Are some cities, the streets that you're on, are they tougher than the other ones?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Austin is one of the most, Austin is becoming a big city. I would say it is now in the act of becoming a big city. It's going through the big city changes, you know. But it doesn't have all the hallmarks of a big city, culturally speaking. The streets here are incredibly safe. They really are.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you can get hurt here, and I've seen people hurt and killed here because I tend to be in environments, you know, where stuff happens.
Right.
Where the worst of the street violence occurs. So I'm privy to that more than your average person. But overall, I can't believe how safe it is. It's incredible. I mean, this is really a nice city with a really pretty low-key vibe.
Right.
For as much that's going on here. But that's changing. I've honestly seen the streets change here. In the mere year and a half I've been here, I've seen it change.
For good or
for the worse?
For the worse.
Like, I realized this tonight. See, I've been justifying this practice. When I first came to Austin, I always had my guitar. So I'd go out also with my guitar.
Yeah.
Well, lately, things have been getting worse for me in terms of my addiction. I've been pawning my guitar, so I haven't been able to hang on to a guitar.
Right.
The last guitar I had, I bought brand new at Mars Music.
Yeah.
I sold it 2 days later for $50 on 6th Street after having smoked. Because once I've smoked, you know what I mean, I'll sell my soul to the devil for another hit.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I realized sitting here tonight, I had a discussion with a guy last night about Spain, about panhandling, you know, and he was more or less admonishing me for panhandling, right? Saying that it's not a dignified way to make money, and I was disagreeing with him, mainly just for argument's sake and debate.
Yeah.
But to explore ideas as well, and it's honestly how you look at it. Because as I brought up to him, in the Hindu tradition, part of the path is that you mandatorily become a mendicant. That's part of your assignment. When you go through the Hindu priesthood, part of your training is to go to the streets and beg. And the same thing with the Buddhists. It's part of their training. You know what I mean? It's spiritual training. And it was really difficult for me to panhandle. It was. The first couple of times I did it, it was like, you know, very painful.
Kind of an embarrassment way? Or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, just, you know, very difficult to say, you know,
Yeah.
say the words. Because in my mind, I really don't buy it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, can I ask you this?
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll take it in the wrong way or not.
No, I won't.
I haven't. I've never asked anybody like this been on the street, but what keeps a lot of people on the streets from just going and doing regular labor work or going to temp agencies or anything like that, getting work?
I work all the time, dude.
You do? But but you only work to support
crack
the habit.
Crack is so expensive. One time I smoked $1,500 worth of crack in 3 days. And guess what? When that was done, I wanted more.
Wow.
It wasn't enough.
Do you mind me asking who or what turned you on to it?
It was kind of happenstance. I mean, I had done cocaine before. I was well into. I've been drugging since I was a kid.
Okay, so more like the powder substances, stuff like that, led you on to this. The light drugs, more.
Well, sure, they paved the way, you know.
Right.
And I tried crack for the first time actually in Illinois about 91. Was the first time. I was living in an apartment with some buddies. We were all musicians. It was kind of a musician apartment. We called it the Vortex because it was just an insane environment, man. The equipment was set up in the living room all the time. Big congas, everything. Guitars, amps, it was all there, man. Keyboards, you know, it was all ready to go, and it was just people floating in. And it was a fun environment, actually. But it was a hippie pad. And just one night out of the blue, this dude comes by and he had some crack. And we had heard about crack, but I'd never personally smoked it. And I remember we went into the bedroom, and back then they used to smoke it off a tin can. Now they have glass crack pipes, you know, but back then it was, you know, more people smoked out of cans. And I tried it, and I remember saying to my buddy, I don't understand what the deal is with that shit. Like, I didn't get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I tried it, but I do remember I wanted another hit just because I didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's an insidious drug. Smoking cocaine is insidious. When they talk about instant addiction, it's pretty much true. Because you take a hit of crack and it's like, see, your brain chemistry adjusts to smoking cocaine after a while. It does. So if you were to take a hit of crack, you'd get a buzz, but you wouldn't get a buzz like I do.
Like it like becomes immune in a way?
immune and at the same time attuned.
Okay.
So I actually get more out of it.
Right.
But I can smoke a lot more than you too. It's a strange thing. You know, you'd walk away saying, that ain't all that. But you've now paved the way. Next time you get a chance to try it, you're gonna want to.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that? So it is really addictive the first time. I mean, you know, humans aren't the only thing. Animals get addicted to cocaine. They've done experiments with this. If you put, I mean, mice don't even have a frontal lobe, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't even have a higher brain. But you put mice in a cage with cocaine, they will try that cocaine and they will become addicted to it. Not just 1 out of 10, all of them. They've proven this. And that animal will eventually quit eating, quit fucking, and quit drinking water and OD on cocaine.
Wow.
Anything from rats up to monkeys will do it. Dogs, anything will become addicted to cocaine.
Wow.
Any warm-blooded mammal.
Wow. Has your addiction ever led you to being institutionalized, like in state prison or private-owned prisons or anything like that?
I've been jailed, yeah, you know.
I mean, for long periods of time.
No, but I'm facing that right now. I'm facing 2 to 10 years.
2 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you think that's for now? To be honest with you, think that's gonna? Do you think that will help you if they do put you in there, or?
I'll be honest.
Because you'll be away from it. You'll be inside there.
Right. I think it could possibly, but I do believe that the prison system is a destructive and vile thing. I'll be honest with you. If they ran them better, I would say it could be therapeutic. If they would run it better.
Right.
But when you're fighting for your personal well-being and sanity on a daily basis,
right,
in an animal context with other men,
exactly,
and you're not protected by the state that has confined you there, that's destructive energy you're taking. You come out harder, you come out with more of a criminal mentality. They've proven it. Because you're mixing with criminals every day and you're existing in a criminal realm.
Totally.
So you have to get hardened.
Right.
They'll fuck you up the ass in there, man. They'll rape you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you're dealing with this every day, you better become an animal real quick, or you're gonna be addicted.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go through that, man. I've lived on the streets and stuff, but I don't consider myself really hardened yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've changed. I know I have. You don't
Yeah.
mix in these environments, and, you know. It has taught me a lot about human nature.
Do you have family? What kind of family do you have? Brothers, sisters, mom?
Yeah, I have a brother and 3 sisters. Parents are alive.
Yep.
I come from very middle-class people, man.
Right.
Very solid people, very honest people, very honorable people. They're not religious fanatics.
Did you burn your bridges with them?
No, I
That's
haven't.
not getting too personal.
No, I haven't. No, it's not too personal. No, I haven't. Thank God. You know, thank God.
But why? I mean, why haven't you gone to them for help yet, or
I have. They've helped me a lot.
Yeah.
They got me out of jail both times here in Texas.
Really?
Yeah. Reluctantly, too.
Right. Do they stay in Illinois or Chicago? Or?
Yeah, my mom's actually in California.
Oh,
My
really?
parents split up when I was 3.
Okay.
The rest of my family's pretty much in Illinois.
And you haven't tried? Have you ever thought about you try to stay with them and sobering up? Or?
It just doesn't work.
Don't think
Yes,
it's gonna
I've
work.
tried it.
Right.
I've tried that, you know, on and off throughout the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So-
What ends up, I'm sorry.
Well, because sober to most people is just a word.
Yeah.
The reality is much
It's easier
more.
said than done.
Yeah,
Right.
it just doesn't work. What it does is they call that in recovery terminology, that's called enabling.
Right.
Enabling.
Yeah.
So yeah, we give you a place to live, but we can't cure you. So basically, we're making it easier for you to use.
Right.
Because now you can go blow your whole check and come home and crash.
Right.
You know, what they teach in, you know what Al-Anon is?
No, I don't.
Al-Anon is a 12-step program for people who have loved ones that are addicts, to teach them to cope with that and how to contend with an addict. The way you contend with an addict is you let them to their own devices, because there's no other way. They have to reach a bottom and want to quit. I mean, you cannot help an addict.
You think that's going to happen to you one day?
They do bite the hand that feeds them.
See, the thing is, you know that you got to bite the bottom. Are you just waiting for that to happen? Yes or no? I mean,
I'm not sure, man. That's a deep topic.
Yeah.
You know, there have been times I swore I was at my bottom.
right.
I mean, how many times can you wake up totally broke
On the street.
on the street? You know what I mean? I mean, just wearing yourself out. I cannot believe the stamina I have for this process.
Think
It
it's
is.
going to take something like a near-death experience or something like that to change your mind?
That's funny you said that, because the last time I was in treatment, I was in there with a guy who was fatally stabbed in '93. He was smoking crack with people and whatnot, and he was in his apartment, and they knew he had money. These people that he knew, he smoked with all the time,
Right.
his buddies, knew he had money in the apartment.
Yeah.
And they knocked on the door at 10:30. When he opened the door, they pushed their way in and demanded the money. When he started to put up a fight, they grabbed a kitchen knife and traversed his entire torso. They stabbed him to kill him. I mean, put a butcher knife through his whole body. He made the 911 call.
Oh, go ahead. You're cool. Go ahead.
Anyway, he almost died. In fact, he did die in the hospital. He died. He actually died. He had the typical hallmark near-death experience, the light tunnel, all of that. Lost 70% of his spleen, went through 3 major operations after that. He's a diabetic as a result of it. His health will never be the same. He went back to smoking. Wow.
Back on the streets.
Yeah, he went back to smoking, got strung out again, and ended up in treatment. This was back in '93, he was stabbed.
Wow.
So figure, I was just in treatment.
Well, these rehab places that you go to, I don't know if this will work or not, but do they ever suggest taking trying to rid one addiction by picking up another addiction, but as a healthy addiction? You know what I mean? As not drawing,
Well,
or
there's-
painting, but something healthy.
I hear you. There's talk of that. They call that substitution.
Yeah.
And the concept behind substitution with chemicals is it doesn't work. In other words, because I've tried it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to quit crack and I'm going to go back to pot.
Yeah.
And it's worked for little periods of time. I've done it on the street, been out here on the street. I had 2 months clean out on the street, without meetings, without anything.
Wow.
But I was stoned every day. But I kept a guitar, and I just got stoned every day. That was my way.
Yeah.
But obviously it wasn't a long-term solution. It worked for a while. So substitution doesn't work in that sense, but as far as replacing your addictive behaviors with constructive activity, sure.
How you doing?
Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, of course, you have to do something with your energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to learn to refocus your energy somehow.
So how much longer do you think you're going to be in Austin? You don't know how long.
I don't know. I'm getting ready to go to trial on these 2 cases.
When are you supposed to go to those?
The 26th.
The 26th of this month. And you don't have a lawyer, right?
Yeah, I do.
State lawyer.
He was a court-appointed lawyer. Actually, he signed me out. Yeah, it was a very rare act of charity, is what I call it, because I hadn't paid him a penny yet.
Right.
And they generally don't do that. It's a big risk. I had an out-of-state ID and everything. He signed me out on a surety bond. He's a real good guy, Mike Walker. Very honest, not at all stereotypical image of a lawyer.
Right.
I mean,
And you don't think this is the awakening call for you yet, do you? You think once this?
I don't know.
You don't know yet, do you?
I don't know. I've considered, in fact, right now he's trying to get me into a program called the SHORT program. They call it drug court. Basically, it's an alternative to incarceration. It's kind of like a high scrutiny probation. You know, you're subject to regular piss testing. You have to attend groups and meetings and stuff. It's for drug offenders.
House and all that.
I'm sure that would be available through there, you know. But anyway, he's trying to get me into the short program, which seems like it's feasible. Plus, it removes the conviction from your record if you complete the short program.
Deferred adjudication.
Kind of like
that.
a deferred adjudication, yeah.
Okay.
It's a really good deal in other words.
You cool.
Frank,
And it looks like he's going to be able to get me there. Yes.
Frank, could you by chance have a two-spot? Two box. You can throw them right away.
No! No!
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
It's just...
yeah.
Because I know I'm going to get probation if I don't screw up between now and the 26th.
Between now and the 26th.
Right. Which could happen any night. Any night I'm out there, I could fall for a third case.
Yeah.
And that'd be it. I would do time.
Oh yeah. Okay. I just didn't want it for
I'm
your
being
own
honest
personal.
with you.
Yeah.
I am trying not to smoke tonight so I can wake up with money in my pocket so I can go work day labor and have lunch money and all this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to go work all day? These day labor jobs are hard jobs. You go there broke and burned out, it is no fun, man.
No.
You know what I mean? Not eating all day, watching
Yeah.
other guys eat their lunch and shit.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. I don't want to wake up like that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Last night, I worked yesterday. I don't want to get into it, but God's been protecting me and ministering to me personally. I know that sounds crazy. You might think that's a schizophrenic delusion, but it's not. It's not. Yesterday, all in my path, everybody was speaking God to me. People I knew and people I didn't. It was in my ear all day, man.
Oh, man.
No kidding. And I wake up in a parking garage where I'd slept, and there's a guy pulls up to do some work, and he just started talking to me, and I said, well, do you need any help? And he was kind of reluctant at first, because, you know, I'm obviously a street person. He said, well, yeah, all right, after we talked to him, and he said, okay. So I worked, 6 hours, he gave me $40, and he ministered to me the whole time. I mean, it's just out of the blue, man. I wasn't asking for it, nothing. He's, talking to me about it, throwed a couple of free, I'm sanding the shit, and he's reading out of the Bible to me, dude. Which is weird.
It wasn't even worth $40, was it?
The work?
Was no, listening to all that wasn't worth it, was it? I mean, in a way, I'm just asking you honestly.
I'm not complaining
Yeah.
about it. I mean, honestly, in a way, it was sort of not annoying, but
Too much.
draining.
Right.
Yeah.
Draining, because in a way I was in a bad state, the night
Yeah.
before I'd smoked and all this. But in a way I couldn't help but recognize, first of all, I had to recognize his sincere human desire to reach out to another human being and help him. And then I had to also realize that there was something divine about it at the same time. So I had to force myself to be receptive.
Right.
Anyway, I get out of there. Everyone was talking God to me, man, including the guy that just came here.
Oh yeah.
This guy.
You knew him though, right?
Huh?
You knew him though, right?
Yeah, the guy that just came by.
yeah.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
We go back a little ways here on the streets. But the point is, I run into him and he just goes off the wall talking about God and the universe and just talking about it, man.
Right.
He's a deep dude. That is a deep character.
Mm-hmm.
This one right here. Eric?
Yeah.
Seriously, he is
Yeah.
not your average person at all. He has a very, very deep, out there fucking mind. The stuff he comes up with, you would think he has read like a whole lot of philosophy, science, metaphysics, mysticism, and he hasn't. It's his mind. He's got a mind like that.
Wow.
He's got a big view of things, but he's strung out.
Well, can I ask you this? Not to really switch subject, but what was your profession? What would you do? You did before you got messed up on all this stuff and you got on the streets. What did you do as a living?
Well, when I really,
Did you have
I've done a
profession?
lot of different things. I've never had a profession. The longest I ever kept a job was about 5 years. I worked for a company, and it was the best job I ever had. I was installing telecommunications electronics for a company called Alcatel.
Okay.
They're a big international French telecommunications firm.
Oh, you're okay.
Microwave and
Sorry.
fiber optic equipment. Basically information superhighway guts, man. That's what it was.
Oh, really?
You know, supercomputers.
Yeah.
In rack mount framing. You know, a phone company. Not like the customer service part, but the
Like
square.
Southwestern Bell or something?
Right.
Yeah.
The equipment offices, the brain of these networks, these big
wow.
information networks. Alcatel manufactures those solutions, equipment, and I was an installer.
Oh, really? Wow.
So, I mean, my buddy got me the job. I had just gotten back from Central America. All right, and I was smoking crack down there.
Were you in the military or something? Or?
No, I had an exchange scholarship in high school, and I went down there for 5 months.
Wow.
Then, like 10 years later, a guy I knew down there came up to Minneapolis to do research for his dissertation for law school. And he called me, and I hadn't talked to him in 10 years, man. You know, I hadn't talked to anyone from Costa Rica in 10 years.
Right.
I think it was my way of dealing with it, because it was such an impacting experience. I was 19 years old. It was my first time in a foreign country, and I made a lot of powerful relationships, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very impacting relationships with the people I knew down there.
Right.
I fell in love down there. I was promised to marry a girl down there. Her parents wanted me to marry her. She was beautiful. She was 15 years old. And we never had sex in the 4 months we went together down there. But we were in love, man, you know.
Right.
And I was promised to marry her. But anyway, when I came back to the States, in fact, I was gonna stay there and marry her. I called my dad and I said, Dad, I'm gonna stay down here and get married. And I'm gonna go to college. And I came back. I never went back down there. It's funny how you get over, you know, you get over stuff like that quickly, you know. You're on to the next thing. So then I got back, you know, I got with all my old buddies and all this. About 3 months later, I met a girl
That's all right.
here that I was to end up being with for 12 years.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? I mean, like, I just forgot about Lisa and I fell in love with Christy, and we ended up being together for 12 years, man. And it was an unreal relationship. I'll never have another one like it.
Right. Did she end up on the street, or did she?
I have no idea where Christy is to this day. Christy doesn't. She's a very able and beautiful woman. Looking at me today, you probably would never believe that if you could see her or as she was, I don't know what she looks like today, you know.
Right.
She's beautiful though. She's drop dead gorgeous and she's extremely intelligent. And well, anyway, we fell in love. I was 19, she was 17, and a buddy introduced me to her. He had been in love with her all through high school, and I hung out with him. I knew Matt, and he went into the Navy, and after I got back from Costa Rica, he got out on leave from the Navy, and he got a hold of me in Joliet there, and said he was coming on leave, wanted to hang out. Anyway, he introduced me to Christy, who I actually had met once, and had I knew who she was, but when he said Christy, Christy O'Connell, I was like, well, I don't know who that is.
Right.
And he said, yeah, well, anyway, he described her. I still didn't know. As soon as she walked out of the house when we went to pick her up, I knew who she was because I had interviewed her once. Because I wrote for the school paper.
Right.
And the journalism teacher gave me the assignment to do a story on hairdos, which I thought was a silly assignment, but I made the best of it I could.
Yeah.
So I looked for people in school with the most unique hairdos. She was one of them. She had, you know, short, platinum, I mean, not blonde, but like platinum.
Yeah.
Like was, you know, you gotta think this is in 1986. So. But she had short, platinum blonde hair. She was a tall, thin blonde, and she would wear like, you know, kind of like the ghost punker look, you know, like white skin, you know what I mean, and the white platinum hair, and sleek, long, black and white clothes, you know, just real like chic and European looking.
Yeah.
Oh man, she drove me crazy. And I interviewed her for the school paper, you know, and I never really talked to her again after that, you know. But I did that interview with her, and after that in the hall I would always see her, and she kind of hung with this like chic crowd, you know what I mean? And I just, you know, I was just a Joliet nerd, man. Because this wasn't in Joliet, this wasn't where I grew up at. This was in South Holland, Illinois, which is a more affluent community than the one I came from.
Right.
So I always felt out of place there anyway. You know, I always felt like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I would never really felt like I fit in anyway, let alone with her, 'cause she seemed like even like a little echelon up from that even.
Right.
But anyway, when she walked out of the house, man, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow. You know, anyway, we went to a motel room, started drinking, and he had been in love with her all through high school. And I don't know what happened that night, but something in us just clicked. What it was is she was crazy and I was crazy too. Seriously, I'm being sincere.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, I've been crazy since I was a kid. To be honest with you, I was an insane little bastard. And she had a very wild streak in her. She was very rebellious. Anyway, we fell in love. And oh boy, man, 12 years of insanity followed. I mean, insanity. We both got, you know, we were out there, man. We were getting real fucking out there with the drugging and the scamming and the trying to maintain our lifestyle. And it got to where she was pretty much running her game, and I was going along with the flow, man, because she had a lot more juice than I did. You know, we're living in Chicago by now. She was working as a call girl for some very, I would say, prominent black market people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was making real good money, and we were doing a lot of heroin and cocaine. You know, and after a while, it just got to where I couldn't do anything but really, even though I knew what was going on, and I'd try pulling out. I'd be like, I got to get out of this relationship. I'd leave. I'd go back to Joliet. You know, like a month later, I'd end up back in Chicago with her.
Wow.
And this went on for 12 years, man. So I have no idea where she's at today. I went back down to Costa Rica. We were living in Chicago. Things were real bad. Real fucking bad. I mean, we were both really strung out, stressed out, and things were bad, man. We weren't even enjoying it anymore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was wanting out of the relationship. I just couldn't stand it because I loved her, man.
Yeah.
I met her when she was 17. She wasn't born when I met her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we fell in love. And I don't blame her. I allowed it to happen because had I been a man, I would have said when it first started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But things happen insidiously, you know what I mean? They happen subtly and you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, kind of get mixed in with the flow of things.
Right. Had I know, you know, what I should have done, we moved her out of her house when she was, come on through.
Go ahead.
Come on through.
You're okay. You're all right. Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Hey.
We moved her out of the house the day she turned 18. Of course, not with her parents' best wishes.
Right.
I mean, her dad was a college administrator and her mom was a language professor. They had more aspirations for their daughter than moving out with some fucking scumbag from Joliet, Illinois. I mean, I'm just, you know, to sum it up, basically it was it. You know, I pull up in my, you know, Monte Carlo, my old beat up Monte Carlo. You know what I mean? They wanted her to pull out with a
Mercedes Benz or something.
Exactly, some young man that has something going on, you know. But her parents and I did end up getting along, you know, just through time and talking, you know. Probably, you know. Anyway, the point is, how all that crazy shit got started really is in Joliet. There were some girls I went to school with, the Malones, and I had no idea at the time, but their mother ran a lingerie modeling company. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Yeah.
lingerie modeling, they do it in restaurants most of the
I know
time.
what you're talking about,
Restaurants and like lunchtime places where businessmen go. Usually it's in the suburbs, in a nicer suburb, and it'd be like in this
Private
like
rooms and all that.
no, I'm talking about in restaurants, but like bar and grill type things.
Okay.
And basically what it is the girls come through and they model lingerie and raffle off lingerie, and they get tips. But I remember the day she met them alone. She was working at Walgreens. I was working at a Jiffy Lube, and we had our little apartment. You know, we were doing fine. We weren't into the coke yet or anything. We were just smoking pot and having fun. Things were still good.
Right.
You know, things were still fresh. We'd only been living together probably a couple of years at this time. And we were madly in love, man. Everything was just fine, apparently. I'm gonna be a rock and roll star. She's gonna be a doctor. You know what I mean? This is in our heads, you know.
American dream.
Right, the American dream. We got our little apartment, everything's fine, apparently. Although we're smoking pot and drinking every day, we were on our way. We were on our way. Tripping on acid too. Acid was part of it by now. I was taking a lot of acid back then. And she came home to me and she said, "Oh, I met a girl whose mother owns a lingerie modeling thing. And they're gonna pay me like whatever, $10 or $12 an hour," which seemed like a lot at that time, you know. When you're kids, you're working for 6 and 7, you know. And you figure this is back in '88, you know. And I remember we talked about it, and you know, I said, well, I remember what I said. I didn't like it. I'll be honest with you. I felt jealous and threatened immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, I did not like it, and I told her I don't like it. But I'm not going to tell you not to do it, because I'm not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never been the kind to fight for a woman or to boss a woman, because I feel like if I got to fight for her, she ain't mine.
Yeah.
And let it all go. You know what I mean? I've always been very jealous and possessive, but I never allowed myself to show it.
Right.
Because I always figured, fuck it, I want to see how far it'll go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's deal with the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I think, you know, my buddy and my girlfriend got a chemistry, I'm not going to try to weasel in there and make my stance.
Right.
I'm going to step back and just let that shit go as far as it does.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to happen, I'd rather it happen.
Then deal with it when it does happen.
Yeah, I'd rather know where we're at.
Right.
You know, that was just my style, you know. Prostitution, nothing. But in my gut, I felt it was a gateway for other things.
Yeah.
And it sure the fuck turned out to be one. Because it was through there, I think, that she made other contacts. You know, you got to think. Then, you know, you got prostitution agencies that probably go to strip clubs, lingerie modeling places, and things like that, and recruit girls from there. As if they're willing to model lingerie, well, then they're probably willing to get naked and dance on a stage, or suck a dick for $200.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, somehow she got introduced, you know, because all I know is that all of a sudden, things just progress, you know. Next, we start drugging more and more and more, and it just seemed like she would always say that her grandparents were giving her money, okay? And this worked for years, because honestly, I didn't suspect anything. Because she was a CNA, she did go to community college, and she got her CNA certificate.
Okay.
And she started working as a CNA. Well, she went to work for Nurse Finders in Joliet. And that's on call,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, you know, I don't know at what point she started doing this.
Yeah.
All I know is eventually it became obvious to her.
Yeah.
But she was very crafty, man, about evidence. You know what I mean?
Keep everything on down.
Yeah, she'd be like, well, I'm going to go work a shift, and then I'm going to my grandparents. And all I knew is we always had drugs. And whenever we would fall short on rent, it was never a problem because she could call her grandmother. And her grandparents did, in fact, have money. You know what I mean? And I'm sure at first it was her grandparents and her parents maybe helping us out here and there. And I don't know, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know when it happened. All I know is suddenly we're living in Chicago in an $800 a month apartment, you know, and in '90 that was a lot of fucking money to pay in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, I wasn't working by then. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
The money was there. And, you know, I think I wanted to believe the lies for a while. You know what I mean? But, anyways, I don't know why the fuck I'm talking about that.
Man, that's an interesting story you got there, man.
Oh, it got worse. Believe me. Oh, see, that kind of brings us up to Costa Rica, though. That's how I got back down to Costa Rica, because at the height of all of this, man, after many breakups and all kinds of bullshit, you know, it just, you know, after a while, we both knew what was going on, and it was no mystery. I mean, I even knew the people she worked with after a while. You know what I mean? Because I confronted her, you know, probably about 2 years before I went to Costa Rica. I forget what it was. I pinned her on something really specific. We had done a couple of scams. Some shit happened anyway where we had to, you know, she finally had to come up and fess up and say, yeah, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? And then it didn't matter anymore. It didn't fucking matter. I was collecting SSI on a psychological impairment basis. That was all scam too. Her and I went to scam the doctors and all this, you know.
Yeah.
We were just scamming. Everything was scamming by now because we were on hard drugs. We were, you know, China white, cocaine. That was our daily diet. You know, Gap clothing, expensive restaurants, you know what I mean? I'm playing fucking pro gear. We got a 2-bedroom apartment. I got a whole studio. I mean, I had an equipped studio.
Wow.
All I had to do was not fuck with her. That was the only rule.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with her about it. Don't bring it up. Pretend it don't exist. Right?
Right.
That's kind of hard to do when you love the woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, something in me, because, you know, I knew I was a piece of shit, too.
Pride fucking with you.
Yeah, it's like, this shouldn't be happening, man. We're dying. We're dying. What is us is dying, and I felt it dying, man. You know, after a while, it got to be weird group sexual situations, too. It just, all the sacredness was gone. You know what I mean? Nothing was left, man, of what we had. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're both, I mean, you know, she was wearing Gucci, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, apparently we had it going on.
Right.
We had bitchin' parties, you know, all the skunk bud and China white you want, you know what I mean? A couple of Gap kids, we're going to San Diego on vacation, you know what I mean? Everything, you know, but it was just one scam after another, and the money kept going quicker and quicker and quicker, and things were getting more dangerous and dangerous and dangerous. We had to move frequently because of things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People were looking for
running,
you and whatnot.
Basically, right? You're running from people.
Huh?
You're running from people.
Right, you know, drug scams, all kinds of shit, ripping people off, setting up dangerous, stupid shit. Shit I didn't even know anything about. To this day, I still don't know what happened in a lot of those circumstances. I might have thought I was playing a particular role, but she might have just been appeasing me. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at?
Right.
Some of that shit, I still don't know
You
what
don't know if
happened.
she was screwing you, or you don't know if she was playing games with you or the people.
Right. Half the time, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
All I know is Christy was in charge.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was do what she told me to do. Well, look, you know, here's what this is. You got to do this or that. Anyway, so at the height of all this, man, when I'm honestly just burned out, I was getting crazy, man. I was truly getting suicidal. I just felt such a distance with her, man. Here we are sitting in this beautiful apartment, dude. I mean, it was a beautiful apartment. Art Deco fucking loft style apartment, you know what I mean? The bedroom, you know, was like a balcony. And, you know, it was small, but it was, you know, a really nice place on Dearborn, on a major downtown street in Chicago, you know. It was a beautiful apartment, security door, you know what I mean? It was, you know, a real apartment, like the, you know, yuppies live in. You don't just walk in there. There's someone at the door, you know.
Yeah.
It was a nice place, man. I had all the equipment, everything. We had it all. And yet,
You want all that back, right? Apartment and all that place, and all that stuff back, right?
but we couldn't even talk or make love anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was like empty, man. I was feeling so much pain, man. It was unreal. You know, I just wanted it all to end, man.
Right.
And then my buddy Danilo came up, and he spent. Go ahead, guys.
You're all right. Go
No,
ahead.
we'll walk around this side.
Oh.
Sorry.
He spent a couple days with us in Chicago. And he took me aside, and he was going to go back to Costa Rica, and he said, man, Frank, you're living bad, brother. You know, you're not the same guy I knew 10 years ago. You're just not. You don't act the same. Something's wrong with you, man. And I got a feeling you guys ain't living good here. I don't like what I'm seeing here with you and her. And he said, why don't you come back down to Costa Rica and spend some time with me and the family. Rest up. Think about things. So I did. I went down there. And then her and I started with the phone calls, you know, same old pattern, you know, break up and then the phone calls start, you know.
Sorry.
That's all right.
And
You're okay. You're okay.
in a couple months' time, we spent about $2,000-3,000 on the fucking phone. You know, I mean, I'm sitting for an hour and a half on the phone, prime time phone time to Central America. You know what I mean? And you know, of course, this was on her account, but still, you know, it was getting expensive.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, you got no idea what, you know how much this is costing. I said, well, and she was trying to coax me back. You know, back there. Well, you know, when are you coming back? You know, and I said, well, I don't know. And the more I stayed, the more I realized I didn't want to go back. I really didn't. You know, I wasn't doing drugs down there. I was meditating every day. You know, I was going for walks. I was just feeling spiritual, man. You know, and I was enjoying Costa Rica. I hadn't been down there in 10 years, man. It was, you know, it was exciting. You know, I was meeting these people I'd met before and new people. And I was having sort of a spiritual experience down there. And I said, well, come down there. Why don't you come down here? Because, you know, if we have a chance, the only way I'm going to believe we have a chance is if you come down here. You know, me going back there does nothing. Will change nothing. It's the same old shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she said, okay, she'd come down there. So she's, instead of just getting rid of fucking everything, like I told her to, coming down there, she put a bunch of shit in storage in Chicago. Well, that right there let me know there were reservations. You know, well, I can't throw that furniture out. It's, you know, you know what I mean? It's a such and such coffee table and a such and such whatever. And, you know, I said, Christy, it's shit. It's all shit.
Yeah, it's all material.
Yeah, how many fucking thousands of dollars have we pissed away in the past year? Tell me. Just in drugs.
Right.
Forget the going out to eat, the movies, these constant myriad fucking distractions. Because we don't know how to sit down at a table anymore and eat dinner and look at each other without being fucked up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We were always going somewhere, man. Always had to be in a cab, going here, going there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All this fun shit. You know what I mean? It was all a substitute for what we were losing. And that was my point, you know? It's like, that was a reservation. When she put that shit in storage, that was a reservation. And I knew it.
Her reason to go back.
Yeah, it was saying, I haven't let go of this. Her life in Chicago. You know? So anyway, she came down and she tried, man. I'll admit it. She tried like hell, dude. I mean, you know. Before she came down, I rented a house. I got a job teaching English. As soon as she came down, she got in with the same company. So we both had a job teaching English. We weren't making shit, but down there we were making
Were you
shit.
teaching English?
Yeah, I did teaching English in a
But at like a high school or a...
private institute, actually.
Wow.
There's a lot of them down there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we both got a job teaching English. Rented a house in the city, nice little house. You know, nothing wrong with it. It wasn't the standard we were accustomed to up there, but, you know, I honestly, see, I didn't come from exorbitant circumstances, man. My mom was a waitress. So, you know, I grew up poor. So it wasn't nothing for me to go, you know, to me that was perfectly fine. And she tried, man. She brought my dog down, too, my 17-year-old dog. So, you know, I mean, I'll never forget the day they both got off the plane, man. It was like too good to be true. You know, my 17-year-old dog and Christy are down here. And I was hoping for the best, but it didn't work. It didn't work, man. She tried like hell, I gotta hand it to her, man, but I'll be honest with you, I couldn't do it. The past, I just couldn't do it. I felt like she had reservations, first of all. That was the first thing. And then I had what I was trying to deal with from the past. You know what I mean? I was resentful to her, man. I was. I had resentment, and I was hurt. You know what I mean? About, you know, about the fact that, you know, because I felt like many times in Chicago I tried to say, let's get out of this. And she was the reluctant one.
Right.
And she was also the one with all the connections, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I did, you know, honestly, man, I'm not saying she was the guilty party. I'm just saying she was truly the socially able one. She's the one that networked well with people. And she was the one that was running the fucking show, dude. She wore the pants in our family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't run shit, man. I was a token pet man, that's all I was. Honestly, I was just someone that she loved and felt safe with, is the truth of it. You know what I mean? She didn't even need me for sex. I know that. I was, you know what I mean? It was more of a love thing, a friend thing. You know what I mean? I mean, she, you know, she had sex all day with rich men. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it wasn't sex.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like I'm great in bed and she needs me for that.
Yeah.
It was that we were attached to each other, and you know what I mean? It was the one thing in her life. I was the one thing in her life that was predictable and safe. You know, she knew that I loved her. And it didn't work though. She ended up going back. And my dog died. Actually, I had to shoot my dog about a year after she left. I was out in the country and it got sick.
Well, yeah.
That's a long, man. You gotta
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
listen.
sorry, man.